Yeah, and obviously you said you joined last year. I'm sure you looked from afar at those Carrow Road games that there were previously. Obviously played in some yourself. I mean, how exciting is that to see that growth over a sort of period of time and those Carrow Road games and how big they've been and the crowds that they've attracted?
I think it's actually kind of mind blowing. You think about some players that play in higher leagues than us, and they don't get the same crowd, and it just shows the real backing and support that the women's team has here. And obviously playing Ipswich at Carrow Road was, despite the result, was an amazing experience. But yeah, playing at Carrow Road is a dream in front of thousands of fans. That's what can you dream of as an aspiring player? Not a lot more.
And Andy, I know you said you've been at some big clubs in terms of in the north and in other areas of the country. In terms of the support that you've had here and at Carrow Road, I mean, how unique has that been from sort of your experiences so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's equalled it in many ways. And as Hope said, you look at coming from Norfolk, coming from Norwich, and playing at Carrow Road is a special occasion. I think in that game, Sienna Booty came off the bench against Ipswich to make a debut, and there won't be many female players that can say they made the debut for their club at Carrow Road. So Sienna's got that unique chance opportunity, or had that unique chance and opportunity there, which is good for her. And she's been fantastic since the turn of the year as well. But in terms of the club here, it's been fantastic. I've loved going around the city. Obviously the game at Carrow Road that's coming up will be huge, and hearing from Alex and from other people in the club that have been here many years talking about the amount of players, the amount of fans that came to watch when they've played previously has been great. So it's comparable, and as Hope said, that there's a lot of teams in Tier 3, Tier 2, they don't get the same numbers that we get, even at the Nest, never mind at Carrow Road. So, yeah, it's fantastic. And, when we went down to Chatham, obviously all the way down in Kent, I think the numbers there were great. And it actually felt like we were at home. There was a lot of the fans around us on the side on the subs bench there that, they were making noise, cheering us on, and they were fantastic. So we've had several away games where, you've had your hundreds coming down on a couple of coaches, which is great to see, and I know the players enjoy it, and I do as well. When you hear the noise, it gives you that sense of it's not probably how it felt for some of the players maybe 10 years ago. It really feels like there's a change of these fans want to do well for Norwich City. They want Norwich City, whether it's the men or whether it's the women, to do well, and we've got a core support that will follow us home and away, as we've proven in several games. And yeah, to be able to end the season at Carrow Road will be fantastic, and the game that we got at the Nest at the weekend, I'm sure we'll get a good crowd as well. But the fans have been great. I've loved working in front of them this season.
Last couple for you, Andy, but I mean, as you said, this has been your first season. I mean, how do you assess it? How do you feel it's gone, and has the role been everything that you sort of expected and hoped it would be?
Yeah, I think it's there's a couple of ways that you look at it. In terms of the overall objective of what I wanted to try and achieve, I wanted to make sure that we're promoted. That's still potential. We still have an opportunity, but that's out of our hands, as we spoke about earlier. I think we now need to make sure that we focus on us, and then that's where the second part of it comes in. I think we've got stronger throughout the season. If you had a graph, I think it's one where we've continued to get better and better and better as a team. The way that we've worked as a group, and the more I've learned about the players and them as an individual, then in units and group, as a whole group has just got stronger, which is naturally going to do. And one thing that I've wanted to try and achieve, I suppose, was make sure that the staff enjoyed working, the staff enjoyed coming in, because as well as the players, they all work and they all do things in the day. So when they come in to the evening, I want them to want to finish their work, whatever it might be, get in the car, drive here, and enjoy coming to work. And that's what I want the players to do. And hopefully they do that. I think, the fact that they come in 3 evenings a week, the Sundays are given up. And hopefully we have a little bit of a laugh and we enjoy ourselves while we're doing it, because I think that's one of the most important things in life. If you don't enjoy doing what you're doing, asking us questions, then you probably find another job to do at some point. But yeah, that's I think the beauty of life, and I think that's what we've managed to get throughout the season. So from that point of view, I think it's been great, and the objective is still to win as many games as we can. We've still got 3 to play in the league and the county cup, and that's what we're focused on, and that's the session tonight. very much working on trying to beat London Bees and work through and round them. And the session for Hope tonight, she's going to try and switch the ball from left to right. So we'll see how she does with that.
Yeah, and then just final one from me for you, Andy. I mean, in terms of that relationship with Johannes and Glenn and the coaches on the men's side, I know you've been in some of their sort of meetings, and there's been a lot of support from those guys as well. So how helpful have they been, and how impressed have you been with sort of how open they've been to helping you and the women's team?
I think that's got to be the biggest. I don't know what the right word would be as a journalist. I hope you can fill in the blank for me. But yeah, that's been the biggest credit I can give to Norwich City. You know, I've worked at several football clubs throughout my career, but Norwich City by far is the most open in regards to. I was sat watching the session this morning, and Jack and Glenn and the staff there were putting on a fantastic session, and you know, been sat in their team meetings, listened to how they're working and moving and everything that they're doing. And I know they've not had the results that everybody wants recently, when you just have to look at the results come through and see what people are saying. But the way that the players work and the staff work together has been fantastic, and the openness that Ben, Johannes, you know, all the staff have shown, and not just them, the academy as well. You know, Dean, Joe within the academy, the coaches. I'm always talking to Craney, to Ollie, to Nielsen. So yeah, it's been right throughout the club, and everyone has been fantastic and really welcomed me. And I've just tried to be a good bloke and make sure that I don't overstep my mark, just in regards to, I just want to watch, learn, try and find a little bit of inspiration if I can. And hopefully, you know, they've seen that from our side, as the women's side is getting better and hopefully more professional as well in regards to how we're working. They see the structures that we've got in place, that you know, we want to be here as a part of them and be one of the three performance sides, if you like, with the men's first team, ourselves, and obviously the 21s with Ollie there. So yeah, it's been fantastic, and full credit to Norwich City as a football club. There's like I say, this is the only football club I've been to where they've been open and welcome for the women's head coach to stand and watch sessions, ask questions, and the amount of times I've been able to ask Glenn or Jack or whoever it is just a question as we're walking off has been fantastic. So yeah, it's real credit to the club.
Yeah, and final one for you, I guess you feel that as well in your role and being around the men's team and the academy side of it as well.
Yeah, I actually saw Andy watching the training session this morning. Yeah, it's amazing to be a part of Norwich City as a whole. I obviously get some insights, physical perspective, nutrition, psychology. Yeah, I live and breathe Norwich City Football Club at the moment. And it's really good. I mean, being able to watch the first team, under 21s, under 18s, how they play and how it flows, it really helps me, to be honest. And being able to have access to not only Andy, but also all those other coaches. We do a bit of an analysis within my performances as well, which I enjoy sometimes, not all the time. But being able to get like little nuggets of information from anywhere is just so important. And actually seeing something from someone else's perspective is also really helpful, not just from a football perspective, but just general life, in terms of football, obviously. But yeah, I love it, to be honest.
Brilliant, thanks guys, appreciate that.
I just thought for
Thank
me,
you.
actually, you talk about taking on information. How much of a sponge are you in terms of learning and developing the end?
I try to be a big sponge and absorb as much as I can. Obviously, you have to filter out some things. But yeah, I try and take on board as much as I possibly can in terms of my own performance and the best way of preparing myself for match days and training. Thankfully, we've got some really good staff. Andy, obviously, got Will as our physical performance, Robin, physio, Ethan, analyst. I'm not forgetting anyone, am I?
Yeah, no.
Oh yeah, Jake doesn't
but
count.
We don't
He
have
just does goalies, so that's fine. But yeah, I try and take on as much information as possible, and luckily enough, we have a lot of resources and a lot of time. Obviously, being in 3 times a week to actually use that as best as we possibly can. So
yeah, and from your perspective, while you've been here, the feedback from the community and other clubs that the women's team has had an impact on.
Definitely, like just the support around the women's team is phenomenal. Previous clubs I've been at have not had as much support as this has. So I think the direction that this club is going is so, well, it's amazing, to be honest. To think back to when I started playing football, there's no pathway like Norwich City that was available. So for example, the under-16s coming through, like, they have such an amazing opportunity to develop this club and keep it going further and further.
Yeah, and Andy, just one from you, because you talked about the clubs that you've been at as well. Is there one single thing you think has improved a lot compared to when you first started out in the women's game?
I think the most obvious thing is the fact that people are taking it seriously now. You know, I think when I first started coaching, my first job in part-time was with Middlesbrough Girls Centre of Excellence. So back home there in the northeast, it was one where we had a young player called Beth Mead who went on to do a couple of things that were okay. But she kind of set the tone when I remember when I first started coaching and what I'd have been in my early 20s when she was there of you know, the women's team was, the way women's football was in the northeast there was okay, but there was only Sunderland. You know, and you think within that time now in the northeast, you've now got Newcastle, Sunderland, Durham, Middlesbrough in Tier 4. They're making strides to move up the leagues like we are. And then you just look at the way that things are now around the country. So I think that the seriousness of the women's game now is at a point. Obviously, I've seen the report from FIFA, or I noticed one of your colleagues from, I think he works for the Telegraph, Tom Gary, mentioned about the amount of coaches that are involved within the women's game in regards to female head coaches, which is only getting better and improving. And I know there's a lot of players now that are exiting the game that are starting to take their coaching badges, which is then going to increase the pressure on, you know, just the quality of coaches. And that's what it should be, and that's how it should be as well, because, you know, fortunately, you know, when Hope probably retires in 10 or 15 years' time, she's worked with one of the best coaches ever in me. And she can use all that knowledge and experience to probably start coaching as well. And as well as that, you know, she's a very good at her job within the sports science field as well. So, you know, on top of that, you've then got the amount of money that the women's game makes and women's sport makes. And that's only going to increase. It's not going to decrease. And it's something that, you know, I think a lot of clubs can probably take more seriously and probably improve on. But I think that's probably the what was, 15 years ago. So in that period of time, that's how much it's changed. It's now getting to the point where women's sport is making billions of pounds around the globe, and that's only going to get bigger and increase. I think it's all for the better. And you know, I just would like it to continue, because there's some very good footballers and very good athletes and just good people that they deserve everything that they're getting, because they put in the hours of work before it was taken as serious as it is now.
Thank you for your time. Good luck with the weekend.
Thank you.